Nikola Tesla designed the alternating current systems that wired the modern world. He patented hundreds of inventions in radio, robotics, and electromagnetism. Yet his historical legacy is often overshadowed by one specific phrase he left behind. If you only knew the magnificence of the 3, 6, and 9, then you would have a key to the universe. Over the decades, that quote has been entirely co-opted. A search for it today yields a flood of internet pseudoscientists, numerologists, and vortex math mystics making wild claims about hidden cosmic frequencies. The problem with the numerological approach is the circular logic. Claiming a number is magical simply because it produces neat arithmetic patterns strips Tesla of his strict engineering rigor. It replaces physics with magical thinking. But there is a strictly formal framework that strips away the numerology. It is called the Observer-Dependent Theory of Everything, or ODTO. When we apply this framework to the numbers 3, 6, and 9, we find that Tesla wasn't speaking in mystical codes. He was describing the structural architecture of how the universe observes itself into existence. Classical physics usually splits our reality into two distinct parts: the subject doing the observing and the object being observed. But a two-point system cannot sustain a universe. Two distinct elements only form a flat line segment, a starting point and an end point with no active relationship. This diagram illustrates the first level of the ODTOE framework, the triad. For a single act of reality to exist, you need exactly three components. You need the observer, the actual thing being observed, and the operator. The operator is the indispensable process linking them. It is the action that translates the potential of the observer into the hard actuality of the observed. Without the operator, the subject and object are completely isolated. We see this requirement at the absolute floor of reality. To form a stable proton, nature requires exactly 3 quarks. Tesla utilized this same threefold requirement to build the modern electrical grid. His invention of 3-phase alternating current uses exactly 3 operators, shifted in phase, to generate a persistent rotating magnetic field. The number 3 is the minimal architectural skeleton required for an act of observation to exist. But the triad has a structural problem. A single one-directional act of observation flashes into existence, reaches its endpoint, and stops. A one-way path cannot sustain a physical universe. The system requires a backward act. The result of that initial forward observation must be returned back to the field, making the new outcome available to the original observer. You have the forward act of 3 plus the backward act of 3. This equals 6. This hexad represents the complete observation cycle, a perfectly enclosed loop. Think of it as the mechanism of breathing. The universe inhales by observing a potential reality, and it exhales by immersing that result back into the system. This complete cycle dictates the foundation of biology. Carbon-12 is the chemical basis for all life. To achieve its stable, closed-cycle structure, a carbon atom needs 6 protons, exactly 6 neutrons, and 6 electrons. 6 represents structural completeness. It is the breath that transforms a fleeting moment of observation into a persistent physical object. The final structural escalation happens when that complete 6-part cycle begins to observe its own process. Mathematically, this is a triad of triads, 3 groups of 3, which equals 9. In the framework, this is known as a strange loop. It is a system that points directly back at itself. Look at this table showing the digital roots of the multiples of 9. 18 reduces to 1 plus 8, which is 9. 27 is 2 plus 7, 9. 36 is 3 plus 6, 9. Whatever you do to 9, it always reduces back to itself. This digital root property is the arithmetic equivalent of a fixed point. It is a mathematical structure that can process itself infinitely, but always remains itself. When a system achieves this fixed point structure, it can process its own internal state as an input. This recursive self-reference, a loop that contains the very observer who constitutes it, is the architectural requirement for consciousness. The number 9 is the exact architectural threshold where a mechanical, cycling universe becomes self-aware. Once a system reaches 9, the sequence resets. In digital root mathematics, 9 plus 1 equals 10, which reduces to 1 plus 0, bringing you right back to 1. This matches the scaling principle of the ODTOE framework. Once a system achieves self-consistency at level 9, it compresses into a single building block, a new one for a massive new layer of reality. Is an infinite spiral. 3 quarks form a complete nucleon. Those particles scale into complex atoms, and atoms combine to form molecules, eventually building self-aware living cells. Tesla did not write the formal mathematical proofs for this theory of everything. He didn't have to. His deep, intuitive understanding of this scaling architecture allowed him to build the hardware. His resonant circuits and multi-phase generators were unconscious physical models of the universe's own self-observing loops, engineered in copper and iron. The ultimate key to the universe is the realization that the universe is a structure that actively observes itself, needing exactly 3 elements, repeated twice, and folded upon itself to exist.